let's get real now. Because,
Real?
No, let's get real.
Right.
So I've said to my, not whether they listen or not, it's
Probably
irrelevant. Not. Probably not. No, you're probably right. Actually, I know they don't.
But it'll come back to them in 20 years' time.
Yeah. So if I said to you, a young family, 30-year-olds, it doesn't matter, 25-year-olds, 35-year-olds.
Yeah, young family.
Yeah. What income do you think that they need to be earning to have what I call a comfortable lifestyle? Now, don't get me to define comfortable. Comfortable means I'm easily paying my mortgage. I'm probably paying much more than the minimal monthly repayments. I'm not stressing out at the at Coles or Woolworths with my iPhone. Well, this costs 10 cents. This costs $2.50. I can go on my holidays. I'm not talking we're going to Rome and all that sort of stuff.
I understand what you're saying.
You know, what income level do you think that 30-year-olds need to be
just
earning?
a couple of questions.
Yep.
So you say it's a young family.
Yeah.
So does that mean they have children?
Yes.
So
because eventually
can we estimate maybe they got 2 kids for this example?
Yeah. Okay. We're just assuming now. Yeah.
This is just an assumption.
Yeah.
A hypothesis.
Yeah.
So you got a family with a mortgage.
Yeah.
2 kids.
Yeah.
I would say.
By the way, the mortgage is about
$1 million.
700
grand.
Yeah, I would assume that most kids, if they obviously own a home, which is bloody difficult in Australia. But let's say they had enough deposit, they bought their home. Let's call it 800 grand.
800 grand.
Could be less, it could be more. Let's call it 800 grand.
So at 800 grand, you're talking roughly, and for simple, I'm going to use 6% because that's at 48 grand.
Yeah.
So you got, and that's before you put your principal component.
Call it 60.
Yeah. So you got 48 grand after tax. So that means you got to at least earn 100 grand for that.
Yeah, just your mortgage.
Right,
Yeah,
just for your mortgage.
Yep.
Then you got all your food and your education and your clothing and all that sort of stuff. So I would think to be in that situation and be comfortable. So you're not watching every penny, is what you're saying.
You're not stressing.
Right? Yeah, so you're not buying Ferraris, but you're not watching every penny. I would say you'd have to be the joint income, so that's why there's two workers.
Well, you'll find that if not in every single case, but you'll find that sometimes there's only one person working. But let's say that 2 people are actually
the number,
working.
I'm just using the number reflective of 2 people because generally in that scenario, it's very rare that the one of them doesn't have to work.
Yeah.
I would say it would have to be in the vicinity of 2 to 250.
Bingo, because that's what I say. It's got to be a minimum of 200,000.
And so getting 100. So if you've got 2 working and both of them getting 100,000 plus jobs, not so easy.
But that's where they have to be.
Yeah, I know.
Minimum. And mind you, if we complicate it, and let's say that.
Well, you gave an example the other. I think it was on the podcast, or maybe when we were chatting privately, but. You gave an example of and I think you used $1 million home as a loan, as the loan amount, and they just made their minimum repayments over 30 years. How much they're actually paying in interest through that journey?
Yeah, it's to the end result is that we borrow $1 million, we're paying a mortgage over 30 years, and you end up giving the bank $2.3 million.
Yeah, along those lines, right? That's a pretty staggering number to pay $1 million off over your lifetime.
Yeah, it's crap.
And so that's why it's difficult for single packet families, single job families. How do they go forward? Because
by earning 200 grand.
Yeah, but not everyone can go and get 200 grand as a single earner. So as a dual, yeah.
So as a dual, it's easier,
and that's why there's grandparents come in and childcare's there and that sort of stuff.
But childcare costs and this cost and that cost.
Yeah, but there's government funding for some of that.
I can't remember. Yeah, there are thresholds with that sort of thing and subsidies.
But I agree with you.
But if you want to have a comfortable lifestyle, and there's my magical number, you talk about 100 grand each. Well, you know what? I would say at some point in time, if you have to look after kids, you've got to be at that 200 grand level as a minimum, if you want to have a chance of making it, of living comfortable and having some choices. If you're not doing that right now, start looking at alternatives and start seriously thinking about where you're going, because if you're not, you're going to get stuck at some point in time. And this thing that you were saying to me the other day, but there's inheritance and all that bullshit.
Generational wealth.
I don't believe in that bullshit.
It's true, mate.
No, it's happening, but you know what? I'm still young. You and I are still young.
Yeah.
No, but you don't want... I wish I could have retired at 40. I kid you not. I wish I could have retired at 40.
See, I'm at the other end. I'm hope I'm still doing what I'm doing at 70.
You'll do to 110 because that's how you're built, but that's a choice that you've made.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, look, I'm passionate about this sort of stuff, but
No, I don't disagree with your numbers though. Like 250, how you get there, two work, one work, one's got a great job, whatever.
One works 3 jobs or whatever. Or one cleans my windows at $1,100 over 4 hours. I mean, let's clean 3 windows a day and we've just made it. But anyway.
Yeah. So, it's an interesting conversation. So how about we change it up a little bit now?
Actually, I want to ask you a question too, because we will change it up because you mentioned that you love the idea of building small companies where there's 2 or 3 people in the room.
Well, you heard the industry fund from small things, big things. That's I believe in that philosophy.
Yeah. Let's change it.
Yeah.
I've got the magic wand and I've just made you Prime Minister of Australia today.
I resign.
No, you can't resign. They haven't even started yet, Mark. For God's sake. I'm giving you that honour of being Prime Minister of Australia.
Yep.
Give me a couple of things that you're going to do fairly quick.
So I think there should be a National Kangaroo Day. So that's one thing I would do. And it's got to be blue and white.
Right.
Go Kangas. So that's one thing.
No, get serious, man. Come on, what would you do?
No, I am serious.
Well, yeah, what, you have a National Kangaroo Day?
National Kangaroo Day.
Public holiday?
Absolutely.
Okay, done.
But I get rid of the grand final one. Right? So take out the grand final one because, we have so many public holidays and some of them are national, some of them are state-based and whatnot.
How on earth
for reasons that are weird, right?
How on earth do you get an AFL?
We have one for a bunch of horses going around a track, which I love,
Actually, that's true too.
But we have a holiday for horses going around a track.
Yeah, we do.
Then we have horses for, holidays for 36 blokes going around kicking a football.
Yeah, the AFL, yeah.
Football. Football.
Yeah.
So National Kangaroo Day makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
It's my football team, but it's also our national emblem. So National Kangaroo Day.
There goes the koala. But anyway, there goes a platypus. We've just sunk them.
They can be in the posse.
Okay, fine.
All right. I would do a massive clean out. I'll go back one step. I would do a massive performance review of every single person that operates in Parliament, operates in government departments, and I would have a personal hand across all of that. And I would do some harsh decision making. So within 5 minutes, you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out. And very quickly work out where the wastage is, where the bureaucracy sits, where all the cozy seats sit for everybody and whatnot.
I agree with that, by the way.
And so I would just shake it right down and treat it like a public company or private company that we're getting a return on the money that comes in from taxpayers is essential. So for me, and that doesn't mean you don't provide the services that you should provide, but government should run at a profit, not at a loss.
They should.
Deficit.
It's rubbish.
Like, it's okay for I understand. Like, I have a little bit of sympathy. I know you hate Daniel Andrews and whatnot. But
no, I don't hate him. I hate him with a passion. There's a difference.
Yeah, but this is not about him. But one of the things both federal and state did through COVID was give everybody a soft landing. And what that did was
that's emergency sort of stuff.
But it went for a long time. JobKeeper this and JobSeeker this, and there were people that probably didn't need the money, were getting money and so forth. But that soft landing, that part of the debt problems we have now is because of that. It's not solely because of that, but the depth of it is because we spent a lot of money giving everybody in the country a soft landing. So you got to put that in the context of a debt situation. But I don't see anyone really have a plan on how we fix this debt situation,
especially in Victoria.
Yeah, in Victoria. But as Prime Minister, it's across the country, right? And so my first call to order would be, let's get a plan. How long is this going to take to rein in? What level of pain can be absorbed? Tolerated. Does the country need to pass a kidney stone, or does it need a kidney transplant? Stupid analogies here, but what does it need?
Because politicians, at the end of the day, are not accountable.
No.
They're not accountable.
Well,
They're
their only accountability is they get voted in.
That's correct.
They get voted out. That's
correct.
it,
There's no
right?
accountability. Whereas if you're a teacher, a principal's overlooking you, someone's overlooking the principal, making sure that that everything gets done. I mean, this is just a very simple example. But politicians, they're not accountable. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, and they live in a beautiful world from a financial aspect.
I'm not too sure about that.
Let me finish. That in the business, if your revenue starts declining, you're in trouble, right?
Yeah, you are.
You can keep cutting costs or whatever, but if revenue's declining, that something's wrong in your business. Government doesn't have that problem.
No.
Revenue keeps repeating. So the wastage, she'll be right, mate. We'll get the next one. So they're the two. You asked me for two things. We've got National Kangaroo Day, and just go through the bureaucracy and the cost structures of the thing like a pinball machine.
What if Trump calls you and says, you know what,
Come
Mark?
and help.
No. He says, Mike, you know what? I've just bought Canada. I've bought Greenland. I want to buy Australia. What do you tell him? He wants to buy Australia.
Well, he can't.
Yes, he can. Apparently, he's buying Canada.
He's not buying Canada.
He's going to make it the 51st state.
Yeah, that's not happening.
What? It's true. It's happening.
He might think it's happening, but it's not going to happen.
Is there talk about it now?
Yeah, same as Greenland.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not going to happen?
for me, that type of talk.
Strategic. I get that.
Yeah, there's something else. And
In
the
the
first
agenda.
thing is it's a distraction. So it gets them talking. It's the old magician trick. Talk to someone over here, and I'll do something over here. There's a lot of that. He's not going to take over Canada.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Canada's part of the what do you call it? The Commonwealth.
So
he's got to take the whole of Commonwealth, or he's got to break it away from the Commonwealth. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, look, I don't think it's going to happen.
You know,
I'm
it's
just
not going to
taking
start
the
a
piss
war
out
with
of you.
Canada.
But
Just to the,
yeah,
you know,
no.
So, but if you came here, I'd just say you can't afford it.
But don't you find it weird that Australia is such we've got all the resources that the world needs, and we're just not prospering?
The thing that amazes me the most, and if I had a third thing I was going to do as Prime Minister, is I don't understand here in Australia why we have high density living when we have so much land.
I don't get it either. It's nuts.
And so we all live on top of each other, you know, within like city of Melbourne and the outer skirts and whatnot. And then you drive an hour out and there's land everywhere. Bare land everywhere. And we're going to have a housing crisis.
Rental crisis and everything that goes with it. Yeah.
So as a government, I don't know why we don't explore setting up new cities. You have to create the infrastructure that goes with that. So I've never built a city, so I don't know the level of money that's required to do all of that, right? But at a concept level, why don't we think about building new cities and then infrastructure in those cities and then move government departments to those cities, which creates employment, and make it affordable for young families. And now whether they still want to live, you know, close to the CBD, that's a choice they're making. But we're supposed to be the country of opportunity. Let's create the opportunities. You know, I'm not saying take over the whole land, but we've got so much land here in Australia.
I think because politicians, it's their span's only 4 years. Well, in Australia, is it? Do we vote every 4 years? Yeah,
I think so.
we do it's every 4 years, and it's funny that you should say that. Over the last 50 years, they should have seen this thing coming, and they've done nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it's sad, and this is why the younger generation have got $900,000 mortgages. Really, really sad.
Yeah, because it's like you can go to lesser suburbs, but you know even they're not cheap now. You know, regional Australia is not cheap now.
No, it's not.
You know, so because everything is concentrated. You know, so if you go to Ballarat and Geelong or you know Bairnsdale, these places, they're concentrated now. So even though they've got a bit more land in their towny, they're still a little bit concentrated. So that would be another area. Now let me flip the question to you. So you know, I've given you my pearls of wisdom. So Harry's the Prime Minister of Australia.
Geez, everyone's
outside of you have to adopt the National Kangaroo Day. What would you be putting in place?
You talked about National Kangaroo Day. I reckon we have to have a National Frappe Day. The only reason why you're laughing is because I made you one yesterday. You nearly fell off your chair how good it was. So, no. What I will do, I'm pro-immigration. I'm pro. But what these idiots have done the last couple of years has been so bad, it's not a joke. I would build infrastructure, then invite. Build infrastructure, then invite. And that would be more balanced. That's the first thing that I would do.
Yeah.
Then
That's a good point.
then I'd get nasty with the banks, like really nasty. I'd get nasty. No, I'd get nasty with the banks.
As Prime Minister?
No, I'd get really nasty with them.
That's the bloodline of Australia, is the great banking infrastructure we have here.
Yeah, but you see, the way that I see is because the banks have all become deregulated, at the same time, they're the ones that have created this disparity between those who can and those who can't. Let me explain.
I'm bated breath.
Let me explain. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you needed a 20% deposit to buy your home.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you ever hear the term mortgage insurance then? It was around. But it was hardly used.
No.
You knew you had to have a 20%
the goal
deposit
was to get 20%.
because the bank would not lend you the money.
Yes.
Is that a fact?
Yes.
Wonderful. So the banks...
That doesn't mean it's good.
No, it was fantastic. Let me explain to you why. Because you understand that assets go up in price with the availability of credit. All right. So from 20%, we've gone to 10%, which effectively drives prices higher.
Yes.
And it means that you've got a lower deposit, so you end up borrowing more. And then they get to 5%, because that happened as well, because banks were allowed to do that because they're just greedy businesses. So I would flip that on its head and say, you know what, it's a blanket 20%
but that's
deposit.
Not now.
Sorry?
You can't, en masse, you can't get 5% equity loans.
Up until recently, you could, 10% loans. You see,
10 to 15% with mortgage insurance, yes.
Yeah, but
the 5% have been sort of not outlawed, but they've been like they don't do that anymore. Responsible banking doesn't allow you to do that anymore.
But it used to happen, and so that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Credit cards.
So when you say you're going hard on banks, the first thing you're doing is making them all that the minimum loan have to have 20%.
Yes. Because guess what would happen? Guess what would happen to house prices? Because I'm talking about now my children and my grandchildren. Guess what would happen to house prices?
Well, you're creating more supply by that very notion,
and
so you're thinking prices are going to come down.
Correct.
So why is that good for anybody?
Because that's in order for a society to progress and to prosper, you have to have a roof over your head.
Yes.
That's not happening now. That's just not happening. You talk about these apartments.
What do you mean it's not happening? There's still roofs over their heads. We don't have mass homelessness here in Australia.
Yes, we do.
We have homelessness, but we don't have
But the dream of owning most kids now are driven to apartments. There's nothing wrong with apartment living. So let me make that quite clear. But if you asked everyone who lives in apartments what their preference would be, you would be amazed that a high percentage would love to have a home with a backyard. That thing's gone. Do you agree or do you disagree?
For young families?
Yes.
No, I don't disagree. I don't agree.
Oh, you don't agree?
No.
Oh, you think it's still possible?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You just got to choose where to live.
Oh, so let's live 373 kilometres away from our employment?
Well, that's building cities again, isn't it? Like if
but they're not there, Mark.
You live near your work. So the ones that I think are nuts is people who live far east and work far west.
Okay.
Like you sign up for these things, right?
Yeah.
Go live in the west if you work in the west and you love your job.
Yep.
Don't live all the way out there.
Yeah.
So living 350 k's away. I know you're being flippant, but
I'm being stupid.
You shouldn't be making those decisions. But there's always a way.
Mark, the dream's gone.
The means, right?
Mark, the dream's gone. You're talking about a small percentage of young adults that are able to do that. The majority of them can't.